Today, we are not talking about education and employment as two separate systems. We are here to talk about how to build seamless pathways that take you from classrooms to careers that actually work. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Asha Varghese. I lead the Caterpillar Foundation. And at the Caterpillar Foundation, we have one mission that's focused on community resilience. And community resilience for us is building thriving communities by investing in workforce readiness that focuses on STEM education, future of work, and digital and skills and trades, as well as the vital and natural infrastructure that communities rely on. We do this through collaboration and co-creation with cross-sectoral partners, such as Project Lead the Way that you'll be hearing from today, in order to make meaningful localized impact. But before we kick that off, I want to set the stage here for our panel and give you a little bit of a reality check. Although there's been many conversations about workforce today, so none of these stats are going to be new news to anybody sitting here. So we're seeing a huge demand for STEM talent that continues to rise. Data tells us that by 2033, it's projected to have about STEM occupations at about 10.4%. But at the same time, emerging technologies, especially we know within the manufacturing space, they are reshaping hiring demands. And often enough, education centers are not able to keep up with that demand. So too often, the efforts to close the gap between what the industry needs and what the employer demands are designed in silos. So today, we're going to be talking about a real-life example that's happening on the ground with cross-sectoral partners to see how are we closing that gap and really working together to make impact on the ground. So there's two things that I really want you to take away as audience here. One is, how do you make real impact by designing cross-sectoral collaborations? And how do you design for a very localized impact, but do it with a long-term sustainability and scalability in mind? So with that, we're going to do a quick lightning introduction with our panel here. So Dr. Dave, I'd love for you to kick us off. And when it is your turn, please give us a glimpse of the lens that you bring to the conversation.
Sure, thanks. And first of all, Asha, thank you for the chance to be here with you today. Thank you to Caterpillar Foundation for the tremendous partnership. We actually had a chance to get out and visit a school together yesterday, and I think that's one of my favorite parts of our work is bringing partners together. Great. And then going out and seeing the work in action. So I'm going to try to make this lightning, but I'm not sure. It might be a little bit like multiple lightning strikes. Dave Dimmett, President and CEO at Project Lead the Way, lifelong educator, started my career as a high school English teacher, was a school and district administrator for many years, have been at Project Lead the Way now for 15 years. Project Lead the Way is a great story. It's kind of the American dream. One teacher, one classroom in the 1990s, saw a challenge in his community and didn't just lament the problem, took action and attempted to solve it. So from that one classroom in the 1990s, today we work with over 120,000 educators, all 50 states, 2.5 million students, pre-K actually, through 12. And I think probably one of the best things I can say about what we do, and I'll share a little bit more as we go, but Jake's story about the earthquake in Haiti gives me a chance to highlight a great example of what our students do. Our job is to help students get prepared for success in school, success in amazing careers, but also success in life. And they build a lot of skills through these programs. We have a group of students in Miami that saw the devastation in Haiti. Particularly, they were moved by an orphanage that they saw where 300 young people did not have fresh or clean water. This was a group of 16, 17-year-old students who, rather than just sit on their hands and feel bad about what they were seeing on the news, they got together with their teacher, Claude Charon, and they built a water prototype, many iterations of that. Ultimately, they were able to send a water filtration system to the orphanage in Haiti. A year later, the Haitian government came to their school in Miami to award those students the Heart of Haiti Award. That is one example of many of the work that we do as partners and with many other great partners to help students get prepared for these kinds of experiences.
That's fantastic. I just love how interconnected a lot of these organizations that you may not think work together absolutely works together. Dale, on to you.
Well, thank you for this opportunity to share. I'm with the Southern Regional Education Board. We are a regional education compact that works across 16 states with policymakers, educators at both K-12 and higher ed, as well as employers. What's really unique about our compact is we have the great opportunity to gather and analyze a lot of data around education and workforce issues. We provide technical assistance, and we also bring together folks. Convenings is what we do best. But you stole my line a minute ago, as a lot of our work and our research points to the fact that we've got to stop talking about education systems and workforce systems and talk about the education and workforce system. Because when we come together and we help build rigorous and relevant career pathways, we provide students with an opportunity to be informed. We're providing them with good information and opportunities through pathways. Second, we're giving them a place to belong, because many of the students wander through high school aimlessly, but when they have a pathway to focus on, they find belonging. And then third, we give them purpose. They can see the future and how they can impact the world around them.
Wonderful. Melanie.
Hi, I'm Melanie Salas, and I am a 24-year teacher. And thank you. Also explains the natural gray highlighting. So I am with Lassiter High School, which is part of Cobb County School District. And we have a remarkable team of students all throughout the district. And I'm blessed to be a Project Lead the Way teacher. This is my second year doing Project Lead the Way, and through that, it opens up so many opportunities for our students. I have 2 students who have begun internships with Lockheed Martin just because of this relationship that we have together. They're students in my aerospace engineering course in high school. I am an architect before I became a teacher, and so we also have a civil engineering and architecture program, which is part of Project Lead the Way. And this was our first year offering that at Lassiter, and I'm proud to say I had 12 students placed in a statewide competition by the American Institute of Architects. So through Project Lead the Way, we're able to really develop skills into the students that are relative and current and seen by future employers.
One thing I might just add, the curriculum that Melanie is describing, one of the things that we do, we have a great team of folks that wake up every day, build curriculum, update it. I mean, you think about these courses, you mentioned civil engineering and architecture, aerospace engineering. We have a really great cybersecurity course. We have a brand new AI course, a lot of biomedical courses as well. But one of the things that's really important is these partnerships that we have with Caterpillar Foundation, AWS, who I know is also here, you mentioned Lockheed Martin, and so many more. They serve as advisors to us in so many ways, not just on how we can better run our business. I heard that in one of the sessions earlier, talking about, nonprofits can often benefit from for-profit relationships and understand how do we mature our business in a way that we can better serve students. But one of the most important things is the advisories that industry provides. We've got someone from Caterpillar Foundation. We have a brand new skilled trades unit in middle school. It's called Building for the Future, BFF. And Caterpillar and others are advising us on, are the projects and problems that students are working on, do they meet the standard for today? So I think that's why the relevance, I think, that you're describing is so important.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction. And as you will see that each of these panelists bring a different perspective that makes this co-creative process absolutely amazing to be able to see that impact on the ground. So let me start off with the first question to you, Dave. You are the president and CEO of a national level nonprofit organization. You mentioned that you started off in one classroom and now across all 50 states and 2.5 million students. But let's take a step back and looking back, and especially in this moment of transition and so much changing in the education system, what motivates you and how are you looking at the growth in the future?
Well, this is a really challenging time in education with declining enrollment. Districts all across the country are facing school closures. There's a whole range of issues, funding being one of them. To me, though, and this has remained true from the moment I started at Project Lead the Way to today. There are today 54 million students in K-12 schools, public, private, charter, you name it, in the US. Too many of them go to school every day and they're bored. They're bored and they are ill prepared for the world that they live in today, much less the world that they're going to live in 5, 10, 20 years from now. It doesn't have to be that way, and that's why these partnerships are so important. We do have places, there are pockets of excellence in almost every school where, because of teachers like Melanie, and we're not the only one doing this, but resources that we provide that are hands-on, very engaging. Students come early to class, they stay late, they are engaged. The teacher's role changes in this. The teacher is a facilitator. The teacher is a co-learner. That's what motivates us today, is that there are too many students going to school bored, ill-prepared for the future. It doesn't have to be that way.
And as yesterday when we were at a high school and you were talking about Project Lead the Way, and when you think about it, it's not just a curriculum. There's a big back engine that really works to kind of provide that to a school, to a teacher training. Just quickly kind of walk us through what that's like.
Sure. So one of the most important things we do is we support teachers like Melanie. I mentioned there's 120,000 teachers we're supporting today. Melanie, let's take aerospace engineering. She teaches aerospace engineering. She is in a learning community with every other aerospace engineering teacher all across the US. Maybe doesn't engage with them every day, but they're there to support her if she needs it, especially in her first couple of years, because it is a challenging curriculum. That challenge is there on purpose. The other thing that we do is we have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week call center to support educators who wake up on Sunday and like, oh goodness, this login is not working. All the things that can happen, they happen. We want to support them. Then we have a team, and we work well with a lot of other intermediaries, organizations like Dale at SREB. But that partnership background is we try to create a landscape where teachers like Melanie can go out and really focus on the work that she's doing.
Fantastic. And now, Dale, I'm going to come to you and zoom in at the regional level. So now we heard from the nonprofit how they're operationalizing it on the ground. Dale, talk to us about how you look at this from a policy standpoint, collaboration standpoint across states.
Well, what we see is that the strongest partnerships do not start with a single program. They start with a shared regional workforce problem. And in 2019, we pulled together a commission of experts from across our region and called the Strategic Partnerships for Work-Ready Students. And what we found in that is that the best cross-agency or partnerships, really everybody comes with a distinct role in these partnerships. In education, you come with providing really the structure. You have the curriculum, you have the teachers, you have the advising. With industry and our employers, we're looking at they're bringing the signal. What really matters? What is the new technology? What are the opportunities for students to get real-world learning experiences? And with philanthropic, we're looking at really what they can bring is that support of really to help systems test, scale, and to sustain models that the public systems alone cannot support. What we also find at the regional level is that partnerships that last, they have several things in common, and there are these elements in place when they truly last. First, they're organized around a priority industry sector, not just a one-off employer request. We're looking at bringing sectors together like advanced manufacturing, healthcare, energy, IT, and so forth. Second, they create a continuum of experiences. They help students at a young age learn and be aware of the various career opportunities, and then they give them the opportunity to explore and also dive deeper. Third, these successful partnerships invest in the educators. Our teachers and our counselors cannot provide these great learning experiences for students if they do not have time with employers to learn about the careers, to learn about the information that needs to be shared with our students. Fourth, those best partnerships measure outcomes that matter, not just how many students came to the career fair, but how many students completed a 4-course sequence in a pathway, how many students earned a credential of value, how many students participated in a work-based learning opportunity. But the final thing that I would say here is most important is that it requires that everyone collaborate and that they take shared ownership, and it takes time. These partnerships cannot just start up and be finished in 1 year. If we're going to make movements in education, we've got to invest 5 and 10 years in.
And you guys have been working together for a while at the
Yes,
school
Project
level.
Lead the Way, when I was still teaching high school English, Project Lead the Way got an early start around 2000 from an initiative at SREB called High Schools That Work, a really amazing initiative that helped us and a lot of other organizations.
Fantastic, yeah. Patience is definitely one of those things that I learned early on in the social development space. Well, Melanie, I'm going to come to you now, but I just want to preface this by saying that not all superheroes wear capes, and some open doors to the future for young people. And Melanie, you're a great example of that, from an architect to a teacher for 24 years. Tell us the experience from a teacher's perspective and what students really experience through this.
Thank you. Well, one thing that I have noticed from every classroom that I have ever been in is that students want to learn. They do have that desire to learn, and they really want to know what's happening right now. They want like the current content. They don't want to learn from a textbook that was written 20 years ago. And in career and technology education, one thing you might not realize is that most of your CTAE teachers, we write our own lessons, we write our own content. Both of you mentioned collaboration, and that's something that I've been so thankful to be able to do with Project Lead the Way, having other teacher resources who are actually doing the same lessons that I am. And so we can piggyback off of each other and ask questions and, hey, what worked and what didn't work, and what can we do to enhance this, and what can we do for higher level learning on this? And so it's really provided a great resource for that. But students have that desire to want to learn, and we as teachers really need people to reach out to us. There's a lot of give back that your company can do, that you as an individual can do, that you might not even think about, but that we really want to make connections. And sometimes it's hard for us when we're spending 8 or 10 hours in a school every day to make those outreach opportunities happen. So we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that, Melanie. So we're getting very close to our timer about to go off. So Dave, I'm going to ask you to close this out with a thought. What's the one thing that you want to see in this sector as we're all growing together, elevating capacity to produce meaningful impact?
Sure. You know, I'm a firm believer that out of crisis comes opportunity. And, you know, I've heard it mentioned on the stage today, the challenging times that we're facing, not just in schools, but in society generally. And I think out of that can come opportunity. It should, it must. And so I think there are a couple of things. One, and I don't think that there's bad philanthropy. I appreciate every bit of philanthropy that we have been able to get at Project Lead the Way. But I do think sometimes we get seduced by the easy to measure metric. How many students were at the career fair? Not how impactful, and Dale talked about these longer sustained efforts. So I think that's what I'd love to see. Like, certainly there's a place for guest speakers. There's a place for the field trip. There's a place for, you know, all of those kinds of experience that are more exposure or episodic. But I think we need to really focus on more sustained, hands-on, experiential, really relevant experiences for students. We focus on engineering, biomed, computer science. We're expanding more. I actually think this period that we're getting into, the humanities are going to be more important than they've ever been. Like the work that we've done with AI, I'm convinced that we need students that really know how to think. And so we make a lot of language arts, social science connections in our curriculum as well. So that's what we need, is we need students. There's 180 days typically in a school year. We can't focus on the career fair, the guest speaker. We have to focus on a longer, more sustained effort. And I think that's where these partnerships, and you know, there's 54 million students in schools today. They're not looking for us to do a good job. They absolutely need us to do our best job. And I think that's why these partnerships are so important.
Absolutely, and critical thinking is one of those things that's even more critical now with AI and advanced technology. So with that, I want to say thank you to this panel. We hope you had some takeaways from this as well, that looks at, it's not just about one player, it's a team effort, and this is an example of a team effort that's actually making impact, and the collaboration that sustains ecosystems that's much needed for students and for them to have real world opportunities. So thank you to this panel.
Thank you.